With me today is Joe Jaworski running for Texas Attorney General. Welcome, Joe.
Well, Amy, hello. How are you?
Today we're going to talk about elections and what the Attorney General has to do with those.
Well, I'll tell you what the Attorney General has been doing with those. He is the most number one notorious suppressor of the Texas vote. Oh, that's right. Everything from suing voters of color so that he can intimidate large swaths of the electorate, uh, trying to breach the clear contours of the Texas Constitution and take away from elected local district attorneys the ability to go after the fraud that is out there, very minimal, I might add. And he also cooperates with the MAGA agenda in creating this complete red herring that our elections and our polling places are overrun with the undocumented. What a ridiculous proposition, Amy. I mean, of course, if you're, crossing the southern border with your family, unable to speak English, really fleeing a persecution from your home country, I guarantee you the first thing you're not going to do is try to vote in an election. It's a complete red herring.
I
So
mean, we can't get people who are legally here to vote.
that's a good
You,
point. Let's focus on that. Why don't we?
and
Yeah.
and add to that, let's say you are in the country undocumented. Are you gonna go to a place where you know for a fact there are going to be officials of the government looking for you to be? First of all, you have to register within 30 days of voting in the state of Texas. And if you're undocumented, you won't make it onto the roll. So you're going to risk deportation to go vote when you're not going to be able to vote.
Yeah, you have just articulated why it is a fantastical fever dream. So, what I think voters will have an option for in 2026 is to vote for the adults in the room, that is, Texas Democrats. So, thank you for asking me for my elections platform. Very simply put, it is the essential act of an American citizen, as soon as you turn 18, to become registered and to vote. And so I'm going to start with the youth of Texas. Did you know, Amy, that there is a law that is simply not enforced? And as Attorney General, I will be the first to enforce it as a platform item, and that is Texas Election Code 13.046D, as in David. I urge people to look it up. What it says, and it's been on the books since the mid 1980s, thanks to a Dallas area Democrat who carried the bill. And what it says is every principal in the state of Texas at a high school, public, private, charter, religious, it makes no distinction, must, it's mandatory, offer registration twice a year to the senior class. The thought being you'll likely turn 18 in the fall or the spring. And if it's in the summer, you'll at least be within 30 days of an election. Well, what this requires is, and the spirit behind it, Amy, is that everyone graduate as a registered voter. So public school system in Texas alone graduates over 400,000 seniors every May. In a 4-year term of the next attorney general, that would be over 1.2 million. And I'm not even using private and charter schools yet. So you can see that this is going to make a sea change. This would be in a typical midterm election will be somewhere between 9 and 10 million voters. Imagine registering 10% of that over the course of one term of your next attorney general. That's the kind of thing. And when the children are doing that, when the young adults are doing that, then the adults have an example to follow. Among other things, that is, I think, the signature issue I want to bring to people's attention. Also, we will articulate a voting friendly message when I'm Attorney General. I think I would even go so far as to say I'll have an elections and voter encouragement division where we will not look at things from a suppression perspective, but an expression perspective, and use that as a talking point at every campus, every opportunity, even when you're having coffees for the public at various satellite offices, perhaps where child support collection is made. We can actually have wraparound services wherever there is an office of Attorney General. Why not? Again, it's what government is for. We'll make it easier for people to register. We'll make it easier for them to understand when to vote and, frankly, how to vote. It wouldn't be insane, in fact, to have a practice voting booth for people to show their children. We can do these things. It's government.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Um, as far as the getting registered when you're in college. Now, as somebody who works elections as a clerk and as a judge, an alternate judge, one of the things I often see because I live in a two university town is people get there, they wait till election day, which don't do. Vote during early voting because if there's an issue, it can be addressed then. And if, for example, you registered at your parents' house, and you're going to school in Denton and your parents live in Galveston, where Joe lives, where you live, um, well, then if you go during early voting, then you can vote a limited ballot. But you're not going to get to vote on the people that are running, for example, for um, Congress or state rep. So, uh, when you're registering to vote as a college student, this is what I tell everybody: your residence is where you're going to be on election day, and your mailing address is your parents' address.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. And I love what you say because you're clearly speaking from a position of experience. Early voting, especially on the first or second day, typically gives you a couple of weeks to election day. And you're right. If there is a mistake or some fundamental misunderstanding of where you're registered, this gives you time to even request a vote by mail ballot and return it within time, or make plans to go back to where you're actually registered to vote. Because you're right, at that point it's too late to change your registration. But you're also right that a limited ballot, as you called it, allow you to vote for statewide candidates, for example, because you're in the state, even
Right.
if you
So,
can't
Attorney
vote.
General.
Right, exactly. So, which, one would argue is the essential minimum menu of voting, because every 4 years the midterm elections for the president offer you the real story here: governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and on down the line, Supreme Court, Court of Criminal Appeals. And for the first time, Amy, I know you know this and you're proud just like I am, the Democratic Party has fielded a full ticket for the first time,
Yay!
since Watergate. And that's, I'll give credit where credit's due. I mean, thank you, Kendall Scudder, and the, youthful, relatively speaking, inspiration that he has brought to the Democratic Party here.
I I can't tell you when I first started voting in Denton County, and this is back in the dark ages, back 2000, if you can remember that far back. God, that's a quarter of a century ago.
Yep.
But I remember going to mark my ballot in the general, and I'm like, there's no Democrats. Just like an entire page of unopposed Republicans, or if there was an opposition candidate, it was a Libertarian.
That's horrifying.
And so that is one of the things at the local level I've worked to fill that ballot, and I'm so glad, like you say, Kendall Scudder. Thank you for finally filling up that ballot. It only took a quarter of a century, but we did it.
Well, we're still on the topic of elections here, and it matters who the leader of the party is, and who the top of the ticket is. And I think also what we found is it really matters this time. I mean, it's always matters for the reasons I told you. American citizenship, really promotes voting, and it really requires your attention. But right now, the Republican Party have gotten decadent, and that's a nice word in their authoritarianism, their ugliness. It's a epic level of hate that is being spread, and I don't know that they really believe it, or if they do, they need to seek help. But what they're doing is they're missing a step. They think, oh well, we've got it in November because we've had it for 30 years. We
Hmm.
need to win our primaries. And so these people are all ruining each other's pelts in their Republican primaries, saying the most hateful, decadent things. And hey, we're listening and we're recording all of it. And it's all going to be played back in November. And the reasonable people, whether you're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, the reasonable people who may not vote in primaries, but they sure turn out in November, are going to reject that hateful commentary, and they're going to vote for the Democratic opponent of this hate. We are the ones who believe that government can solve problems, and boy, we have problems. So let's go solve them.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And when people want to learn more about your campaign, where do they go to find that?
Well, thank you, Amy. It all is at our website, and that is connections to all our social media and everything on this website. The address I will tell you, I wrote myself, all of it, my copy, and that is www.jaworski4texas.com. And that's completely spelled out JAWORSKIFORTEXAS.com.
And is it the same for social media?
So on most of them, it's Jaworski for Texas. Some of them are Jaworski for TX. But like I say, at the website, we've got the icons at the top of the page. So all you got to do is click it.
All right. So we'll just send them to the website, and there they can find the social media. Thank you
Sure.
so much.